In the last video, we made a Gradio interface application that transcribes audio into text, and we showed how easy it is. In this video, we're going to actually light this on fire and take it one step further, turn this into real-time transcription, and then use Gradio blocks to customize the layout and make it even better. So in the last video, we made a Gradio transcription app where we used Gradio interface to take audio and transcribe it. In this video, we're going to turn this into real-time transcription. So the first thing we have to do is, well, basically we go into our Gradio interface that actually takes an input and outputs an output, basically some text, but it doesn't do it in real time. You have to click on the submit button. And we want this to be done real time. So, but this is something extremely easy to implement. You just make a few changes. First of all, you put in live is equal to true. And then you need to tell the audio widget that it needs to send streaming chunks to the function itself. Now, when you put simply a string that says audio, it comes in with its default parameters, but you can actually, instead of sending in a string, you can send an instance of the widget itself with some values as you initialize them. So we're going to take off the audio and we're going to turn that into gradio.audio, and here we can actually send the streaming is equal to true into the input function. So it's going to send streaming chunks to the function itself. But this is not quite there yet. We're almost there, but not quite there. This is only sending the last chunk of recorded stream, but obviously to transcribe, you need all of the recording that has happened since then, so it doesn't have any memory of what happened a few seconds ago. And in order to do that, we need to change our inputs slightly. And the inputs, so far we've just been sending one input, but here we're going to send a second input and actually send an array of two inputs, and the second one is simply state. So a state is a variable that we'll be able to send that actually keeps the memory. So it's basically just any variable. The only difference is, since here we're writing a single short page of script that codes the backend and the front end, all variables are actually kept on the server side. So when you write in the state, this is a variable that will be kept on the client side. And this will be the memory of all the previous streams. And for the output, we'll also keep that state. So it'll keep rolling between the input and the output, and the text will be outputted as well. So this is all we need to do in terms of changes to the Gradio interface. And the function requires a few simple changes as well. We need to, since our input is an array of a list of two things, the state and the Gradio audio, well, the function has to receive both of them, so the stream and the input, and we'll change the output as well. Next thing we need to do is simply say that if the stream is basically to initialize the stream on the first chunk. So if it's not none, you simply append the new chunk to the previous stream. If it is none, then you initialize it with the new chunk. And you obviously you change it for the stream per se, the return, and you return the stream and the text. So the entire audio can be kept in memory on the client side of the application. And if we run this, we'll see that the widget has changed. And now we get streaming audio transcription. Isn't that great? So far, we've built an audio streaming transcription application with Gradio interface. Gradio interface is wonderful because it's simple. It provides a very simple, short API to make and deploy applications, to deploy any function. And as you can see, you don't need to write much code with Gradio interfaces, and the web front end is completely handled for you. One of the limitations of this very simple approach is that you have less flexibility and less control. And fortunately, Gradio does come with another API called Gradio Blocks that does offer that flexibility and control while keeping things very simple nonetheless. And I think this really is the power of Gradio, and a lot of very interesting APIs that are deployed out there are made with Gradio blocks, such as the Stable Diffusion interfaces that basically deploy Stable Diffusion pipelines. So let's get started and let's try to turn this transcription application into a much more flexible application where we control the data flow and layout much better with Gradio blocks. So to do this, it's actually, what you'll see is it's very simple. All you have to do is start with a context manager with gradio.blocks as demo. And within that context, obviously with the interface, we simply entered the string state, and the state was completely managed for us. With blocks, well, we'll simply have to instantiate a state, so gradio.state, and it starts with none because at first there is no state in the front end, and this is something that will feed the audio data to. So this is just a variable, a placeholder, but we have to instantiate it with gradio.state. And then we basically instantiate the audio function, but last time around, we simply passed it to the inputs. This time, we actually name it. So the audio, I could have called it audio, I could have called it ABC, whatever I want, but it's a variable with the instance of the Gradio audio widget, and it has the same value, streaming is equal to true, just like last time. The output is a text area. So last time we simply wrote text, but this time it's an instance of text area. It could be a text input, which is single line, or a text area, which is multi-line. And this is stored in the output variable. And again, the variable can be named whatever you want. And this is where the power comes in, because now we can start putting buttons that link to different functions wherever we want. So this is a button I put, Gradio test button, and a button will pop up that says test button, and we can link it to whatever function we want, and that function will have access to the entire interface as well. And simply now to stream the audio from gr.audio, we simply write audio.stream that puts an event listener for when the streaming starts. And within it, we link it to the function that we had previously created that handles this stream, so this function. And we specify the inputs and the outputs as we did last time around. And this time, instead of putting the string state, we actually link to the state object that we have instantiated. And the input is what's streaming from the audio. And the output, well, it's going to be a state, and it's going to output it to the text area. So this is, as you can see, slightly longer, still super intuitive, and it gives you a ton of flexibility and control, because now you can start arranging your widgets. You can start putting in custom widgets and arranging them into whatever layout you want. Let's just comment out our interface and run this. So what you'll see, this is the Gradio interface that was made for us. And now this is with Gradio blocks. And this works just as well as before. Perfect. So the transcription is done. And we even have our test button. That for now does nothing at all. If we wanted the test button to do something, all we have to do is def test, and the input will be the text, and it returns input plus yay. And now if we want the button to do something, all we have to do is put an event listener, button.click, and the function, we can even put actually the function will be the test. The inputs, here we have a single input, which is actually the output variable in the text box. So this will be the output. And how we control the flow is the outputs, we can even put the same text area. So I'll actually simplify this by putting text area, just so it's clear. Text area So when this button is clicked, the input of the button is the content of the text area, and the output is the content of the text area as well. So here's the flexibility in the control of data flow that we didn't have with interface. And this button now should take this, modify it, and put it back into the same text box. And let's see if this works as predicted. This is a test. This is a test. This is a test. So we see that our Gradio blocks are working. And if we press this button, it appended the yay to it. And you can put as many buttons as you want. You can arrange them in rows. You can do whatever you want with these and really control the data flow and modify this as you want. And the real power obviously comes in with machine learning and AI, as you can put Hugging Face pipelines to really read and write into these as you wish. So this had been a quick rundown of Gradio. Rather simple, but still extremely powerful API to really quickly build interfaces. Gradio handles the front end for you. All you have to worry about is writing a good function that actually does what you want. And everything can be the front end, the back end, and the connection between the two via WebSocket connections is completely handled for you by Gradio. And all you have to write is one page of Python code. And all of this is functional and even deployable to the internet. And you can actually deploy it by putting share is equal to true, as simple as that, for a temporary link, or deploy it and let it be hosted on a more long-term basis. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. And if you want more similar content or specific things, don't hesitate to leave a comment below.